Hey guys, it's great to see everyone again. We're here for the MOPS event today for how to manage kids through and navigate your marriage and parenting through this quarantine and shelter in place, right?
Yes, we are here. Are we going to get going now, or are we waiting for a few more? It looks like people are just coming on now.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Laura, I see you. It's so fun to see everyone again. I've missed everyone. It's so fun. So hope everyone is staying healthy and having this fun time with your family for sure. But this is definitely wild and crazy times. So yeah. Anything else?
No, it's just it's unusually quiet in our house right now.
Well, our neighborhood, it has a school right over there. They just had the school alarm going off, which was really great. They actually, obviously no kids, but the guy was out mowing the lawn today. So
yeah, or the fire alarm going off over there. It's great.
Great.
So
nice and easy. So
all right, should we just get going, or what do you think? People are rolling in now.
Oh, now they're going. Okay, great. Yeah, you guys let us know. You want us to hang in there? You want us to keep going?
You don't want me to tell any jokes. All right.
Hit it. Okay.
All right, so my name is Paul. Many of you probably don't know me because it's usually Bonnie that's involved with MOPS, but huge honor to be asked to be here with you guys on a Monday morning. I've had the opportunity to speak at MOPS and POPS, but never on a Monday morning, so it is fairly cool. I don't think I'm the first male to ever do it because I think Gil Acevedo did it once, but that's okay. I can follow in Gil's footsteps. So I don't know how this came about or how we came to our topic, but we had a few topics that were being thrown around for discussion this morning. And the one we came to was how to navigate this shelter in place when you're living under one roof, when you got the whole family under one roof. So a little bit about us, for those of you who don't know us, Paul and Bonnie Brusts, we've been married for 23 years now. We have 3 teenagers. We have an 18-year-old, and I wish you could see what's going on the other side of this because they're dancing. We have an 18-year-old Abby who is living out the second half of her senior year here at home because there is no school right now. And she is heading off to college next year. Billy is 16-year-old. He is a sophomore at Del Oro. Abby is also a senior at Del Oro. And Molly is 13, and she is an 8th grader at Loomis Basin Charter School. So what gives us the ability, well, we have no ability to speak on this topic, but our backing gives us a little bit. We're learning
like you. We have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah, we're doing this just like you, but we might have a small head start in certain areas for what shelter in place looks like with young kids, because I have worked from home my entire working career. I travel for work, but when I'm not traveling, I'm home in a home office. And I have done that from birth of Abby. So I've been doing it for 25 years. So 18 years of Abby being here, I've had to learn to adjust to life, working from home, managing a conference call, customers calling, with babies crying, with dogs barking, with
kids bickering,
my wife needing support and love and help through that time. So also it gets even better. We homeschool our kids for 4 years. So all of you that are new homeschool moms or new homeschool dads right now, we've been there. We understand. We were watching Jimmy Fallon from his house the other night, and he made a comment that all teachers should make $1 million. I totally agree with that. Teaching is a gift, and those that are called to teach, we praise you. And all of you listening and watching right now probably feel the same way if you have kids that are supposed to be doing some sort of level of school at home. So our topic, how to navigate shelter in place when you've got everybody under one roof. So we came up with a couple different topics that we want to talk to you guys about. First one would be structure. There's a lot going on in our world right now that we're not in control of. We actually it seems like hour by hour, minute by minute, day by day, the information that we're hearing is changing. The one thing, if you live here in California, that we know is constant is we are supposed to be sheltering in place. We don't really have control over that, what we get to do, but I'll tell you this, there's one thing we can control, which is what we're doing in our own house. So I think for sanity, and this goes back my entire career working from home, people always joke about, are you, when I'm talking to a customer, are you sitting in your boxer shorts? Well, no, it has happened, but as you can see, I'm going to show you guys, I do have pants on. We are dressed, we are showered, and this is normal life for us. This has always been my way. I like to get up and get a shower. If I'm a morning workout person, get a workout in the morning, and then come to work dressed and ready to go. And I think that structure is super important for husbands, wives, married couples together, and especially now with children in the house. I think it's very important to, depending on what age school you are in, to do have set times where your kids are on doing their schoolwork. So it's not sleep until noon. Last week when we started this homeschool, back the first few days, the kids, our older two, did sleep till 10 or 11 in the morning, and then we kind of jumped them into this routine of get up, get going on school, so we can kind of get things going. So I think that's very important, is the schedule. So shower, dressed. Also, I think very important is a bedtime routine. Whether you have littles, I would say keeping up that bedtime routine. If you have teenagers, not letting them stay up till wee hours of the night doing things so that they're not able to get up the next morning. So I think that schedule is certainly very important.
Yes, Paul loves spreadsheets. So it's been really good to come up with.
I don't have it. Sure.
Well, it's over there, I think. But it's over there under the stuff. So, but we came up, Billy's bringing it.
We have lots of spreadsheets on schedules that everyone can be doing. If you need help on that, I can run another class on that. I'm totally kidding.
But spreadsheets are kind of nice because then there's the expectations for the kids. Like, hey, here's what you need to do. You need to spend, and for the older kids, you need this amount of time in math, this much time in your English or whatever that is. But then there's also those extra things, those rainy day, I call them. Like, if we had all the time in the world, we could what? Clean out your room. Clean out your bed that you've never seen before. How about go through your closet? Those kinds of things. Goodwill, we could throw all that stuff. So these are the kind of things. So we have the spreadsheet going for kids to know, oh, no, I'm still working on this, and they can mark it off and feel really good, like, hey, I did that. So of course we have some things that are Monday through Friday. Some things are, hey, if I have time, or later in the afternoon. But I think the great thing about structure and routine is that the expectations are set, and then you're not upset if someone's still doing math. It's like, well, what happened? Like, why are we doing that? Now I can look to see, do you need extra help? All those things. And so I think that with a routine, you can also look to see, hey, what do we need to add? What do we need to eliminate, right? This is taking too long? What's happening? Like I was saying with the math, but also what could we add in that routine that we haven't had time to add? For instance, could we do a family devotional? Could we do a Jesus calling? Could we do praying together? Could we have one of the kids each day be who we're praying for? Could we have a gratitude journal? Things like that. And our church supplies so many great resources for all of that. There's Right Now Media that you can look up, all the different devotionals for littles all the way to teens to grandparents, all of that. You can do something with your grandparents and all kind of talk it through and do a FaceTime of that. So there's also, like I said, the Jesus calling. There's different devotional apps for the kids out there. So there's so many things you can do. So that is worth a look for sure.
Okay, so another thing from a structure standpoint, this goes back 20 plus years of doing this and learning and messing up and trying to correct and self-correct. But as a married couple, if husband or wife, if one of you typically left the house and went to work, the other spouse that was home had their structure, whether it was drop the kids off at school or play dates or gymnastics, things like that they had in place. That's all out the door, and now we're trying to figure this out, what it is. If you're a stay-at-home, if you're working from home and that's new to you, I think it's very important to find a place where you can shut a door and have your time and I think it's important from a routine standpoint to be vocal with your spouse that, hey, right now I need, pick a number. I need 2 hours. I need 3 hours. I need 1 hour. I need 30 minutes.
But it's unrealistic. 2 to 3 hours by yourself.
Well, I need time to get work done so that there's money coming into the house to pay for the mortgage. But so I think it's important to have that routine to where you're saying right now when you're working from home that, hey, I need this amount of time to get, or I have a conference call coming up at 9 a.m. and I'm going to need 30 minutes with quiet. So I'm going to go lock myself in our closet. I think that's very important. I think it's also important on the flip side for understanding what refuels you as an individual. Mm-hmm. So if you're the caretaker of the children and your spouse is working from home, I think it's important to have conversations on a regular basis, whether that's Sunday night after the kids hopefully go to bed, that you maybe have what we like to talk about as a business meeting. If you've heard us talk about the 3 different meetings a month that you should be doing as a married couple, but the business meeting talking about what it is that refuels you as a spouse. So like Bonnie, for instance, she refuels by quiet time, whether that's reading her Bible, reading a devotional, reading
a book,
just
going on a walk.
Going on a walk, something where she's just able to be in her own head and not have all the outside influences that typically happen when you have a bunch of children in your house, which is normal and awesome. But so I think it's important to schedule that time in. So when we would sit down for our business meeting on, say, a Sunday night, we would set in times for Bonnie where she would know she can have, where I would turn off my computer, my cell phone, whatever I'm doing for work, and be the care provider for the children so that Bonnie could get that time to refuel. It's also something positive for the caretaker or the provider for the children to look forward to on a weekly basis, knowing that, like, okay, I've got these set times coming on Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday. Maybe it's Monday through Friday during these times we're able to get that time, but we're able to look forward to that.
Yeah, definitely. That's something, when we can get out and about, that's the times where when Paul was working from home, kids were napping, all that, I would schedule in getting my hair cut and time with friends. I'd go meet for coffee, but I definitely wouldn't put in to-do lists, chores, Target, all that stuff. It just exhausts me. So I would rather do that with a kid than go by myself and then come home, unload everything, and then people tell me that we have no food in the house. So that's always a good time. So anyways, second point. So we talked about structure is super important. The second point is intentional time. So we're not sure how long this will last, right? This whole quarantine and all that good stuff. So we have a choice. We could either look at this positively, like this is a blessing from the Lord, or we can look at it negatively. And I think something that we've been telling our kids is that never again, well, not never, I guess, but you never know. But the whole country, the world is really taking a sabbatical right now. So you're not missing out on anything. Everybody else is missing out on it as well. So you're not alone in this. So take advantage of this time to be intentional. We
talked about this a couple of days ago, but sorry to interrupt you.
That's fine.
That how this could be, and we're talking to this as our teenage children that are, getting ready to, in the next few years, launch, that this might be the one time in their life that they're given a gift to say, hey, for the next few weeks, you're here and you're just, like we always talk about bringing the band back together, the 5 of us coming together and just being together. It is great when I'm out and about, running, go to the grocery store, things like that. I see so many more people out walking together as a family, out playing in the front yard together as a family. And I think it's amazing. So sorry, I did go back.
No, so this is just a time to regroup and go, okay, like I know our oldest, Abby, had said, man, I'm going to be missing out. I'm going to be stuck with you guys and all that. I'm like, wow, people kind of like us. We're fun, but all right. But then when I said, no, but you don't have to be anywhere, then she was like, wait a minute, I can sleep. Like, I'm not missing, like, I don't have to be at any meetings, any practices, any of that stuff. And we're like, yeah. So then she was like, oh, that feels great. So that is something to think about, how busy our families are. But I just want to point out that this time can be tough because you are all under one roof. And it can be a time where things are highlighted that you aren't really excited about or necessarily wanting to look at. So a couple of areas, about 4 areas that I can think of that are highlighted. And I really got these in my brain when we homeschooled because they were all there with me all the time. So I had to check all these. but I just want to point them out. The first one is communication. You're going to start noticing that either the way you communicate in your house is terrible or it's really great. And so you might notice things like your kids bickering with one another, the way you respond to the kids. Is it a lot of yelling happening? The way you and your husband communicate. Are you guys yelling, bickering, tearing each other down, building each other up? What does that look like? You'll notice that, gosh, it seems like I'm the one doing the chores, or so-and-so is always doing the chores. And then your kids will point that out. I'm always unloading the dishwasher, those kinds of things. And so the other thing too is there's always something in the room, and we talk about it at our house, like the elephant in the room that no one's talking about. And the elephant will just be bigger at moments like this because you have nowhere to go. You're not being busy anymore. So that's one area. Another area you're gonna notice is the areas where kids struggle, their weaknesses. So for instance, maybe you've had that teacher from preschool or school that's been telling you, Johnny is just not a good sharer, or just really can't focus, and you're like, oh, it's just because of the other kids or this schedule that you have, teacher. And now you're like, oh snap, maybe it really is Johnny. Now we need to kind of look at that. And so those things become highlighted when you're starting to see that. Now you're going, oh man, they have some struggles, and so I need to look at that. I know like some things of the stages of growth. Maybe you're like kind of been ignoring that a little bit, and now all of a sudden you're like, wow, they really do need to start talking more, or they do need to, roll over or do some of those stages of growth that need to happen. The other thing that you'll notice is your relationships. And this to me is a big one because your relationships are going to be highlighted in this. The lack of a relationship or the growth of your relationships, and that within your family. So you're going to look at your kids and just realize like, wow, like what do we have to talk about? Because before, seriously, before we would talk about, like when we homeschooled, it was like before I'd be like, hey, how was your day? How was Susie? How did you guys play kickball? Did you, and I'd talk through the whole activity of the school day. Well, now we're here. I know what you've done all day. So, hey, crickets. So you need to come up with other things to talk through. And so you realize, hey, my relationship with my kiddos were based on their activities, not on their heart, not on how they're growing as a person, not on how they are in Christ. And so those are some things that you need to look at a little bit more. Same with your spouse. You've maybe made plans, you've been a planner maybe, and you're always like looking at the summer or your trips or whatever you're doing, and you're like, hey, we've always talked about our camping trips coming up, blah, blah, blah. And now all of a sudden you're like, we don't know about summer. What are we doing? We don't know if we have money for summer because we're not working. So these are some of the things. Now you've got to look at that, and you've realized that your topics of conversation have been their activities rather than their heart. And we just need to get back to the heart. The last thing that you'll notice is, that you maybe haven't wanted to notice all of these weaknesses, but now you're in a spot where you have no choice to. And when you notice things, it's powerful, because when you notice that there's some needs that are happening, there's some holes that are happening, you all of a sudden have an opportunity to change. And you have an opportunity to help in that solution of how is this going to work better. Now I've noticed something. When you have knowledge, it's powerful because you have a choice at that moment. It's a fork in the road. Am I going to step into that? Am I going to step out of it? And so your kids have just you. You just have your kids. You just have this marriage. What are you going to do? Are you going to sit and complain that it's not going as well as you want it to? Or are you going to step in and go, let's just put on the bootstraps, let's get after this, and notice the elephant in the room and talk it through. So those are some things. It's about creating that solution, some ways that we can create solutions.
Yeah, so as far as intentional time, I know from our family, our kids are super involved. They all three they play different sports. Mm-hmm. They're involved in youth group. They're involved in leadership at school and church. And so things like family dinner, oftentimes if we have one or two children at home during dinner time, that's a great thing. But for the last week, every single night we've been able to sit down together as a family. And every single night we've had great conversations.
We've literally had so many good dinners. It's kind of ridiculous. Like freshman 15, I think it's like Corona 25 or something like that. Oh my goodness.
Get out and walk, people.
Seriously. Oh my goodness.
But we have, Bonnie's a big fan of puzzles. So when we heard about lockdown coming in, Amazon showed up with about 5 new 1,000-piece puzzles that drive me crazy, but Bonnie really loves them. So doing puzzles, we grabbed a bunch of, well, Bonnie did, let's be honest, grabbed a bunch of books, and we kind of went through and we decided who was going to read what books. The other night, we actually had the kids start reading a chapter out loud to the family, which seems kind of something for young kids, but we all seem to be really enjoying it with teenagers.
So wait, when we homeschooled, I took so you moms out there who know what I'm talking about, we took the Newbery winners for the books. I just went to Barnes & Noble, found a Newbery winner. And, you know, I'm trying to think of one that we read, but I can't think off the top of my head. Anyways, I would read it out loud to all the kids, and that would be our story time, because I was trying to incorporate sibling love and how to be together. And so we would all read the book. Of course, Molly, our youngest, it was a little much for her, but she did her best to sit there quietly and hang in there. So then people would ask questions, no, can you read more, blah, 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 and we would read it out loud. Now, that was Paul or I reading it. So this, I brought it back, you know, getting the band back together, brought it back for this lockdown. And so I went to just the kids section, and I found like these Newbery winners and things like, here's a book like Holes. I know it might be a little old for some of them, but that kind of book. It's not super long, not super short. And the chapters are short to keep everyone engaged. Anyways, during this lockdown, what Paul's talking about is Abby, our oldest, started reading. And we're actually reading about
reading out loud.
Reading out loud.
It sounded like she just started reading.
Yeah, well, she's, just got to graduate. Anyways, so she is reading this book about, a grandma and a little boy going on an adventure together. And her voice inflection, we were all like, oh my gosh, you should really do this. This is fun. So anyways, that was the book thing.
So some other ideas, if you, get outside, walk as a family, ride bikes as a family, just stay 6 feet away from everyone else.
We met a family last night.
Yeah, we went to Beals Point last night for sunset and went on a walk. And I joked that I'm going to start carrying a tape measure around to make sure we're 6 feet apart. But we met another family there. We just literally stayed like 8 to 10 feet apart from them and went on a walk and watched the sunset. I remember we have teenagers. May not be an issue if you have super littles, but my kids love YouTube. I told my kids to YouTube how to clean a toilet because we're furloughing the cleaning people, the cleaning people that come every few weeks. So we put them on furlough for a month or so, and the kids told them how to learn how to do a toilet. Other things to do, just laugh together. Find funny ways to laugh together. Netflix, do a Google search on the funny family videos on or movies on Netflix. Find something that's going to make you laugh, because there's a lot of negative going on outside of our houses. Remember, we can control what happens inside our own borders of our house. So find something fun to watch. Old photos. Go through your old photos with your kids. Dating photos. Go through have your kids watch your wedding video if they haven't got to sit through that thing. I say that thing because ours is like 3 VHS tapes. We'll have to explain to some of you what a VHS tape is, but baby photos. You want to talk about mission statement? Yeah, no.
I was going to add something there too. The cleaning thing. Gosh, when the kids were little, I would give them a rag and say, wow, those baseboards really need some help. And I mean, really, just go for it. Let them run through there, do it wrong, because guess what? No one's coming over, and there's no time limit here. Your mother-in-law, she could give.
She's not coming to critique it. Yeah.
So anyways, let your kids do some of that stuff. They'll feel so important, even if you don't give them the chemicals. Obviously, you don't want to do that, but they feel good about just like, oh, I cleaned the toilet. I just remember like the kids thought that they were doing stuff when they were just using the rag, and it was a good time for those littles. So this is a great time for you to get together with each other, your spouse, to talk through that whole family mission statement. And we have talked about that and how to kind of get that going and how to write that. But now it's time to come together with, who do you want your family to be, in 5 years? What do you want your family to accomplish in 1 year? What do you want that to look like? All of that. Trying to think of anything else with a family mission statement that you might want to do.
Well, if you have no idea what to do on a family mission statement, just over the next few weeks, hate to say, I don't want to put a time limit on this, but just start jotting down what it is you want your family to be. So Bonnie's great at this as far as parenting. This is one thing she's from day one. thinking about what do we want our kids to be when they're adults, and then work out a roadmap. I'm good at the roadmaps because as a business guy, I like to have a plan, but what do we want them to be when they're 25? What do we want our kids to be when they leave at 18, when they leave our house to go off to college?
Right.
And then backtrack, how do we get there? So what are the things we stand for as a family? What do we want kind of our, if you talk about like when you have to have a tough conversation with your children about why we're not going to do something, why we're going to choose to not do something, you can point to your family mission statement, because we are the Brusts and we do things this way. And that those things actually,
there you go.
Right there.
Right over the shoulder.
That's our family mission statement. So anyways, moving on, our third point would be to serve together. The Bible tells us that it's greater to give than to receive, and that is definitely true. From just our own self, we enjoy being able to bless other people. And one thing that right now, it's not like we can't go out and we're not going to go out and volunteer or serve physically, but what are things you can do? I bet you everyone's got one of these. FaceTiming friends, FaceTiming people you haven't talked to in a while, FaceTiming old high school friends, FaceTiming grandparents with the kids. I'm assuming most of you, if you have grandparents, they're most likely in the demographic should be, uber concerned about this virus. So they're probably locked. Hopefully they are. We have trouble with our parents keeping them contained a little bit, but having the kids FaceTime them and just tell them what they're doing, tell them what they're working on in school, tell them, what movie they watched, anything they can, because the grandparents just want interaction. And FaceTime, when we 20 years ago, when we just got married, there was no FaceTime. So you couldn't just FaceTime someone and see your parents or see your grandparents. So that's a great way. Reach out. Another great thing that we found is reach out to your teachers at school. If you can email them, text them, phone call them, and just tell them how much you appreciate them, because you probably appreciate them a whole lot right now. It was another thing. So.
I was going to say that I know my parents were saying that they just really want to see somebody. And so the kids are taking the calls and FaceTiming them and literally showing, look, Grandma, I cleaned out my under my bed, and I put like Molly was telling my mom, oh, I put my pens here. See, all the red ones go here, and just the organization. So those of you who know Molly know that that's her love language. So that has been helpful for my parents to know the ins and outs of things. And again, your kids don't have to be anywhere, so they have all this time, and so they appreciate that. So the other thing I want to say about serving is that serving tightens your family bond together, because you realize that you actually can give more than about what you can get, right? And so you're doing that together. It brought you guys as a family to look out and have compassion for others. There's the dog. So we knew Hank would make an appearance at some point.
He's not that ferocious, I guarantee you. He would lick you.
Okay, so the fourth point is self-reflection and relaxation. So in this quiet time, take time to look to see what you like about the quiet time. Really, like, maybe journal about it, talk it through with your spouse. What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? There might be something that you're like, man, this is just too much downtime. I would like to have a little bit of this or that. But hey, I've really enjoyed the fact that we've been quiet as a family. I've enjoyed that I've actually had time to do my Bible. I've actually enjoyed going on walks and having great conversation, family walks, those kinds of things. So it's time to look at this and say, hey, look, this is a gift. Let's self-reflect and kind of figure out how to reprioritize and look at the things that have been busy in our days and what do we want to add or eliminate in those days. And so when you look at your schedule of stuff, it's like, yeah, well, like it's going to be this whole thing before lockdown, after lockdown, right? And so how we respond to the after is going to be how we've reflected on this now. And so we need to look at it and go, hey, what was in my schedule before that caused me to not be intentional with my marriage? What was on my schedule before that caused so much busyness that I was non-intentional with my kiddos? Because whatever it was, wasn't important. That's just the reality. I mean, God has given us a gift right now to go, hold up, what's important? What should we be focusing in on? And So I think looking at some of that, and look at that, like what needs to be added or eliminated in your schedule. Look at that as a family. So as a married couple, go through that as your family. Like maybe you guys have planned stuff with other families quite a bit. Maybe you have planned camping trips or trips with yourself as for a family of 5 like us, or maybe you've planned it with other families. And now you're realizing, hey, our family actually needed the time with just us 5 to bond and blend together. Maybe we don't need all these other families all the time, because I noticed that when we have other families around, our kids aren't connecting with one another. Because that's half the excitement right now, is that like I've got 3 teenagers and they're all cracking up at each other on the Slack line. Like, that's crazy. No phones. Like, it's certainly they're connecting with their friends, but it's like they're playmates now. So so what is it about that? So look at that schedule as a family to see what you can add or eliminate. Then look at it individual kids. If you watch how your kids are responding to this quiet time, look at each one. So let's just take one in particular, like Molly. She does 3 different sports, and she school, obviously, and then church stuff. And so it's like, okay, does she really need basketball? Does she really care about it? Or is it just Paul and I care, you know? Does she really get something out of soccer, or is she doing soccer because the friends are there? Well, heck, let's not take soccer take up our life and basketball take up our life. Let's pick one sport and then have the friends over from the soccer team, once a week? I'll do it, no problem, because that's better than 3 times a week. Family time, now no dinners, all of that stuff. So you're kind of thinking about each kid. Maybe she really doesn't want soccer. Maybe it was, again, Paul and I wanting soccer. So some of those things to look at. The other thing is your marriage. What are some things that you're loving about this quiet time? What are some things that you're not liking? Maybe you realize, hey, we need more time to communicate. Hey, we need more time to have quiet without the kids around. Or maybe, you know, we need to tackle some of these top items that we need to talk about. But like Paul said, the business meeting, maybe we need to, you know, get those in place. Now's the time when you can kind of practice all of that. Anything else you can think of?
No, I'm just going to wrap that up by talking about relaxation.
Yes.
This is not something that comes super easy to both Bonnie or I. And I kind of made a deal with my kids when they came home from school. I said, I'm going to try to not be as let's get outside and weed the yard. Let's go, you know, all the time. So we did do Saturday. We had a full blown day where all 5 of us were out there working, and we cut a bunch of trees and cut and chopped like 3 cords of wood. It was great. It was very fulfilling for my soul. But just trying to find times to relax, right? I think we all try and we all say, oh, we've got vacation planned for July, so I'll relax then. And I think this time now at home is giving us all an opportunity to really think, like, how do I relax at home? How does that play out? How do we as a couple relax? How do I personally relax? How do we as a family of 5 relax? And so whether that's watching movies, reading books, going on walks together, they're all great ways to relax. So it's important, you know, we gave you a whole bunch of things here that we're offering you ideas of things to do, but I think it's also important to just take this time to relax. Really, I'm not talking about just taking 20 minutes and laying on the couch for a nap. I'm talking about letting your mind clear and just relax and just, you know, push out all the negative outside influence stuff that we're dealing with right now, and just really allow yourself as a couple and as a family to just soak in this family time together and enjoy it.
Yeah, like one of the things too is looking at how does your family relax. I know Paul had mentioned that, but how do they relax? You know, you've gone on vacation, say to Hawaii or somewhere really great, and you've spent a ton of money, and this may be too close to home, and then someone gets really mad about how much money we've spent, and then I say, wow, I'm so exhausted after that vacation. So really, when you think about it, what is it that makes your family or allows you to relax? Maybe you don't need that super expensive vacation. Maybe you just need time together and conversation. I know that Billy, our son, had said, man, since this lockdown, we've had more, what do you say?
Just great family conversations.
Great family conversations. Yeah, and I thought, wow, man, I talk all the time. I can't believe he's just saying that. Maybe he's just listening. Maybe now he's just started listening. I don't know. But anyways, So that's what we have. It's a lot of content, a lot of stuff. So questions, what do you guys have? Questions for us? Oh shoot, we have to, yeah, we have to go down and scroll.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, cool. Questions. There you go. It says, my kindergartner.
Let me read it because you're probably going to be the one to answer. My kindergartner still needs attention to stay on task. Yes. Any tips for what you do with my 3-year-old as he plays by himself all day and is getting way less attention? I try to have a few activities to do together, but feeling guilty already.
Totally.
Great question.
Gosh, guilt is the worst. So here's the thing is that you need to pick your battles, right? So if you need to be with your 3-year-old and get them on task to do some things, no problem. Then you're going to call it like, hey, this is so I'm going to use my kids like, right now, Abby, this is Mom and Abby time right now. And so Billy, you're going to sit here and you're going to, get in front of maybe the one show on TV or, thumb through the books or whatever it is. And then you and I are going to have Mom and Billy time. So it's this swapping thing. I always called it like a circuit in your house, like the workout circuit. Mm-hmm, remember we would do that, and I'd have like different stations set up. And I know we had like the big, huge Fisher-Price bouncy house happening. So Billy could be jumping in that while Abby and I went and like practice reading or whatever. So those are some ways to just, really set a timer on your phone so they know you haven't forgotten. So.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Advice for getting out energy in small kids while they're trapped inside in rainy weather. Well, it did not help that we went on lockdown last Monday and we got the most rain starting Saturday or Sunday that we've had in all of February. We didn't have a drop of rain, but
and we can't go ski.
Yeah, and the ski resorts are all closed, so you can't even go ski. That's a great question. I would say, we had, luckily, when our kids were little, we didn't have to deal with the lockdown, but it would sort of felt like a lockdown at time when I was traveling. But we had one of those Fisher-Price 6 foot by 6 foot bounce houses that our kids would jump in. You can set up like an obstacle course in your house. And here's the thing we talked about earlier: Grandma and Grandpa aren't showing up. Your friends aren't coming over to judge how clean your house is. So setting up an obstacle course with your kitchen chairs, your couch, building forts for kids to get in and out of. Take all the, if you park your cars in your garage, you have a garage, pull the cars out of the garage and get jump ropes, get basketball. Put a square on the wall. If you don't have basketball, put a square on the wall and have your kids just throw the ball and hit the square nonstop. Trying to think, if you have a hula hoop, great way to get energy out. I also would say if you've got rain jackets, sometimes it's not horrible to go out in the rain.
Totally.
It's kind of fun. Obviously, we want to be dress warm so we don't get a cold and start the sniffles right now with our environment. But go out, jump in puddles, go out for a run around the block. Set up a loop if you have small kids in your house. Move the furniture around. Be different. Your kids will think it's funny if you're willing to move the furniture around. And set up a little course where they run and get your stopwatch out and pretend like you're taking them and, oh, you almost made it. You almost did as good as last time. Let's do it again. Things like that. There's all kinds of ways. You just have to get really creative and not worry so much about disrupting life. Like if your kitchen chairs are flipped upside down for the kids to climb over, it's okay.
Yoga mat if you have a mat on the stairs, pretty great. A beanbag, Billy's yelling at me. Beanbag is a very fun time, although that may pop, so maybe that's why I wasn't mentioning that one.
Okay. So we got a couple more here.
I was going to say the garage was really great to take masking tape. You can make hopscotch. You can, draw Foursquare. You can do all sorts. Again, the whole moving them around in there. Of course, you're putting up all your snail bait and stuff, right? I just wanted to clarify that. Get all that stuff up, your paint, whatnot. But making that fun in there, it's like the rainy day thing. For a while, we didn't park our cars in the garage because we had all those little trikes and everything in there just happening, and the kids thought it was great. I left the door open so I could actually be doing something in the kitchen while hearing them out there. So it was like their new outdoor. Okay, Billy's telling us. Oh, go to the parking lots for your
No,
scooters.
you would, Bill's talking about take tape and put it on the
Oh.
ground and make a parking lot for your scooters. It gives the kids
Yes.
something to do. And then you can actually take tape in your
Yes.
garage and make a road. So they got to keep their scooter on the
Our
road.
kids are so smart.
Okay, so Bonnie, when you were homeschooling and Paul was
Yes.
traveling, how did you find time for yourself to rejuvenate for the next day? My husband's working 10:30 to 9:30, 6 days a week, trying to keep our income, and I'm losing my mind with the kids.
Well, thank goodness I'm not alone about losing my mind, because that happened quite a bit. Still losing it, sometimes not finding it. Anyways, I will say that a lot of times, especially when my kids were littles and we would put them down for naps, I too would go in and sit by myself, and the house looked like junk. Toys were not picked up. Clothes were not washed and all of that. So it's fine. I don't really care about all of, like, I mean, you would come to my house right now and you'd go, oh my gosh, it's so picked up. Well, I have older kids. They're helpful. And, we're cracking the whip on them because, but at the time when they were little, I got my quiet by just literally pushing everyone out. And then again, what Paul talked about, refueling, what refuels you? So I would then get on the phone with a friend and I'd realize, I feel so drained. So I wouldn't call that friend again. And it's just at that time, right? Sometimes you need friends, sometimes you need that. But if I can get everybody busy, let's say they don't nap. So everybody's going to take time to watch this show for 1 hour or this movie, and I'm going to be in the other room. And I've because I've had different ages. So Molly, I would put up the gates so she couldn't get to anywhere. And that way we could literally have some quiet time working from home too. Those are good times for Paul and I to just have a conversation, right? Without anybody. So you're choosing your time wisely for that, the TV and the media stuff. But I used the quiet nap time. I too went in quiet every day because I needed to regroup.
And I think it's super important to be vocal about this, that you need that time, because if you're not vocal with your spouse that, hey, I need some support, I need some help, I need something to help me rejuvenate to get ready for the next day. And if you're not vocal about it, then you become resentful, because you, as guys, we need to hear exactly what you need. We're not really good at interpreting based upon how you're acting or what your mood is or what you said to me that was like Morse code that I didn't really pick up on. You need to be very blunt and say, hey, I really could use it. Maybe you've got a bunch of littles in your house and there's only 30 minutes you're going to get. I don't know. Every family is different, but you just need to be vocal with that. And I think that's an important conversation to be having, and be this is what I need. Right. I think if your husband's at work or traveling, he's got people that he works with that he's going to say, hey, I need this from you for my job. If your job is staying home with the kids, you need to be vocal about what your needs are to be successful. So
number 4, any ways to motivate kids to get their work done so that there is free time. Oh my gosh. Yes. And if you have older kids, for some reason, this is the complaint I'm hearing, that they have more homework and more work than they ever had when they were in regular school. I don't even know, like, Molly, how did you even get it done? I don't even know. So
it's me pouring coffee. I'm not getting nothing over here.
So these are the things that I do is, again, that schedule of, hey, do you really think it'll take you 20 minutes to clean up the toys? Or they're not going to be able to understand their time, but you can set a timer. I know I have friends who have, oh my word. Okay.
So sorry, Bonnie, I'm not trying to, but it's got every subject and then the time. And so,
but that's for older kids. Yes.
Okay. But you can do it for younger kids.
Yeah, you can do it for younger kids. But I was going to say, I have friends that would put on fun music, cleaning up and all that, or put on like, hey, at the end of this 10 minutes, again, set your phone timer at the end of 10 minutes. That's how long we're going to work on reading right now. Then we will do a party, or, we're going to clean the house for 20 minutes. And then you're putting on, that's why I was saying, whistle while you work, like that whole Disney song. So, you're putting on stuff like that to make it fun, right? Because work is supposed to be a joyous time together. So
Any tips to talk to, I'm going to take this one because this is a great one. Any tips to talk to your husband about why the house is messier when he comes out of the office after working 8 hours? So I did make this mistake more than once probably, until I had an opportunity to actually be that caretaker for a while. And man, it is not easy. So if you were in church probably 2 months ago, there was a meme or a storyboard up on that they put up that said it was a wife, I think, to her husband, basically saying something to the effect of, I'm going to totally butcher it, but something to the effect of, husband comes home, why is the house not clean? You've been home all day. And the wife saying to the husband, well, you were at work all day. Why are we not rich? Right. So, it's, I think a great conversation for that would be that I've chosen to hang out and love on and pour into our children versus cleaning the toilet, right? And I think it's also important. I went through a business training, this is probably 15 years ago, that talked about priorities and responsibilities. And I think that it's really easy in a marriage to get into, well, I work, so you do everything else. I bring in the money, so you take care of the kids and clean the house. And I don't think that's realistic. That might have been realistic with Leave It to Beaver. Google that if you don't know what I'm talking about. But, in the 50s and 60s where it was, husband went to work every day, came home, house was clean, dinner was on the table, plate was already made. That's just not reality anymore. We live life at such a different pace than people did back then. We weren't around in the 50s and 60s. I know you might be thinking I did, but I think that's important, right? And it's just having those conversations about, what you're choosing to do with your 8 hours. And maybe you go through your day with your husband and say, well, here's what we did over that 8 hours. And here's what we accomplished. And here's, we had some great conversations. We laughed, we took a nap together, whatever it is. So.
Yeah. I mean, I was just going to say, you handled a lot of fights today, like someone didn't want to eat the sandwich that you just made, and then the dog ate the other one that you made. And so, you kind of got a little sidetracked, couldn't get to the laundry or unloading the dishwasher because you've had all of these things interrupt your day. Just like they've had at work, the interruption of being on a call or someone else popping in with an email or something like that. It's a similar thought. You're trying to keep focused. But reality is you're after your kids' hearts and you're after the connection with them and to invest with intentional time. And really, you don't have much time with these kiddos when it's all said and done. Again, that's why this whole quarantine time is a gift, because you don't have much time with them when you look at it by summers, and we talk about that all the time. And I'm down to less than 6 months with my oldest. And then she'll be out the door. And then I've got Billy right behind her. So Molly, I've got 4 years left at home. So when you start thinking it from that perspective, I keep telling my friends, I can have coffee every hour with you. Give me 4 years. I'm going to have the best looking house. All my laundry will be completely on, and my pantry will be so clean in 4 years. But really, I will miss the fact that I'm not busy doing all of those things, of having the dirty or the constant groceries and all that. I'll miss those things. I won't miss the task of it, but I'll miss the fact that the reasons why that kept me busy were my kids and our family and the way we did things. So, it's kind of putting that in priority. Like, hey, I'll have all the time in the world to have the best looking house. Right now, it's maybe not a top priority.
Yeah. So. One last question. How do we stay ahead of feelings of frustration when the kids don't want to do their schoolwork? How do we steer them back to those activities? Well, I think you would wrap that into a few things we've already talked about, but setting out your agenda for the day so the kids know when and how long they're supposed to be involved in school, and then being flexible with, we're not big fans of rewarding the kids. We've never been people to pay for grades or things like that. But I think, especially in times like this, if it's new to homeschooling, like, hey, if you get going on school, if we finish this, and this by 11, then we're going to watch a 30-minute show or a 20-minute show, or we'll watch that YouTube video you like watching, or whatever it is, but just keeping them on task. And I wouldn't set out, especially the younger your children are, I wouldn't set out like, hey, here's the next 7 hours of what we're going to accomplish, because that's not realistic. You might be able to only keep them busy for 7 minutes. I'm not sure. But that would be setting small victories and controlling what you can control. I feel like with my skills, with my children at their ages, that I'll be lucky to keep them focused for 30 minutes. Well, then give them 30 minutes worth of work. And then, like you said, have a dance party for 10 minutes, and then have a snack or have a bathroom break, and then go back to it. So
you can go out and ride your bike for 10 minutes or whatever. It's giving those, like, let's say you're going, hey, we're going to go ride our bikes for 20 minutes after you do 30 minutes of work, and you're setting your timer, 30 minutes goes off. Now you're overdoing the 20 minutes. You're also in that 20 minutes. Sometimes I know coming out of that excitement, coming out of that bike ride, that dance party is hard. So you're giving those warnings. Hey, 5 minutes we have left, okay? Or 10 minutes we have left. Here's 5 minutes, and we're going to put these bikes away. And then letting them know what they're doing. We're going to put these bikes away, then we're going to go back in and do stuff. But we can come back out later and do that. Do you like this, or do you want to do the dance party instead? You know, so it's like giving choices. I find with toddlers, they just want to know what's going on, the game plan, and they want to have an opinion. They want to show and give a choice. So for instance, like I would always say to Billy, because he's my guy who used to have the plan, Billy, we need to go to Target, and we need to go to the grocery store, and then we need to see Grandma. So obviously you're being at home right now, so you're not going to go to these places, but this is an example. And I would say, do you want to go to Grandma's first, or, you know, Target? And so then he would choose, and he'd feel like, oh, I got to choose, right? We still needed to accomplish all of them, but he got to choose the order in which it went. So if you're at home, you can be like, look, you need to do reading, and we need to do a little bit of math, the flashcards for math. Which one would you like to do first? Do you want to do, you know, math first and then dance party, or do you want to do math and then reading and then dance party? It's up to you, but you know, these are the things we need to do together as a family to get it done. Yeah. So
I was going to just one last thought. One of the rewards for kids, especially dependent on age dependent, would be FaceTiming a friend.
Yes.
So maybe, you know, maybe from school and they're missing that interaction that they got to have in school. So, hey, if we can get this and this accomplished with school, then you can, we'll FaceTime and you can have 10 minutes of just hanging out and laughing and having fun with Johnny. So
2 things before, the schooling though is something that I always say to the kids. It's a gift to be able to learn. And so this is a joy that you get to learn. You get to learn new things, because when you're too old to learn, you're just too old. So you're always learning. I'm still learning. I'm still figuring it out. So to learn. The thing is that when you learn something, you have an opportunity to change or add to or do all of that. And so that's something you kind of want to always talk through. And the last thing about the learning is that this is our kids' job. We've told them, you know, Dad's job is to work. My job is to take care of you and make sure our house is running. And your job is math. I've already done math. I don't need to do it again. And thankfully I don't. And the world thanks me for that too. But I've already done it. I don't need to do it again, but that's your job. So your job is to do your schoolwork the best you know how to do in preschool, the best you know how to do in first grade. And then my job is making sure you have food. My job is to make sure your clothes are washed. And later, that'll be part of your job too. But we don't want to tell them that yet. But yeah. Anyways, so that's it. That's for us. It
Thank you all for sticking with us. We went more than, I think, longer than we anticipated, but that's okay. Thank you for all the awesome questions. Know that there's lots of people out there praying for all of you, and that you will get through this. You can get through this. Yes. And that take it day by day, because it's fun. And I'd be willing to bet that each day goes on, you're going to probably start to enjoy it. And there'll be a whole group of us, or you guys out there, that I think when your kids do go back to school are going to be missing the time that you had with each other. So enjoy it while they're here. Kind of for us, our kids are going off soon. We're, like we said, Abby's leaving in 6 months. So we're starting to feel that kind of like sadness of like, oh, it's coming to an end. So anyways, thank you guys so much. We're praying for you, and have a great day. Enjoy yourselves.
Bye.